So, like I said again, you're a Bulls season ticket holder. But what are your expectations for the Bulls this year?
At least the second round would be nice to. So if they don't make it to the second round, it's a failure.
Yeah.
The season's a failure. If they make it to the second round, that's what I expected. If they make it to the conference finals, I'm happy. I'm like, oh, good season, excellent. And then obviously things escalate from there.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much of a chance that they go to the finals or, for that matter, win them. But I think there's every reason to expect them to be in the second round.
Don't you think they match up pretty well against some of the other Eastern Conference teams? Like, they match up with Boston pretty well. They have youth, they have size.
Well, anybody who has youth matches up against Boston pretty well.
That's true. They match up against, like, Orlando.
Yeah, they played pretty well against them last night.
But they didn't really play their players either, though.
No, they just come off of an overtime loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if fully healthy and once they've gelled a little bit as a team, I mean, they only have 5 returning players from last year.
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure how many Miami has, but they may have 5. Miami may have more returning players than the Bulls. Even.
Right. But nobody important.
Miami, you mean?
Like Joel and all fringe players.
Sure. And so one of the players the Bulls have is a fringe player too, James Johnson.
No.
So I mean, so they've got 4 returning starters, and one of them won't be starting this year. So they have really 3 returning starters and a first guy off the bench maybe. Yeah. So they're going to take some time to gel, I would imagine.
Who do you think is which Bulls offseason acquisition were you most excited about?
Well, I mean, Boozer was the one I was most excited about because his upside is the highest, but he's also the one I'm most worried about because he has a history of injury. Right. Falling over a bag and breaking your finger doesn't show a great deal of resiliency.
And now they're starting to question whether or not that's actually the story that happened.
Yeah, that was my initial thought. I was thinking, how can you play professional basketball and break your hand when you fall to the floor? I mean, you're not gonna make it through a game.
Right.
But who knows? Maybe it's just a freak injury. But he seems to get injured quite a bit, and he's missed a lot of games over his career. Right. So I mean, the upside for him is higher than anybody else, I would say. But the downside is you spend a lot of money on a guy who plays 20 games for you.
Yeah. I actually think Tom Thibodeau is actually a really important signing.
I agree. I think it was maybe that was the most important thing to do was not the signing but the firing.
Yeah.
I mean, Vinny Del Negro is a nice guy. I like him. I think he maybe helped Derek, get in tune with the league and everything. But he's not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
And I think the perfect evidence of that is he signed with the Clippers afterwards.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of other coaches in the league that I think would have been significant improvements.
Yeah. But Thibodeau, with the way the Celtics played defense last year, I mean, it was like amazing to watch.
Well, that's.
I mean, if he can get the Bulls to all play on a string, so to speak, like the way the Celtics did last year, they're going to be a pretty tough team.
Well, Derek's biggest defect in his game is his defense. Yeah. By far, he's not a very good defensive player. He's actually kind of poor defensively.
Right.
If he can be a Rajon Rondo on defense, he's, in my opinion, without a doubt, the best point guard in the league.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of like
but
because Rajon Rondo, he's an exceptional defensive player.
Absolutely, and I don't know how much of that is he played for Thibodeau, and how much of that is he's just a great defensive player.
Oh, he makes a lot of individual, just amazing, fantastic hustle plays.
But
I wouldn't even strive for that. If Derrick Rose could just be a really good team defender, even I think they'd be okay because they have enough individual good defenders. Like Joakim Noah, fantastic individual defender. Ronnie Brewer, fantastic. Luol Deng, underrated. They're all really long.
And I'm just being like super optimistic here. It's like, what if he could be Rajon Rondo on defense?
Yeah.
I mean, then he's one of the best players in the league at that point.
Right.
If he just becomes a good defensive player or a decent defensive player,
right.
then he becomes still maybe the best point guard, but he's not one of the best players in the league.
Right.
If he becomes a Rajon Rondo on defense, you start having to say, well, who in the league is better than him?
Right.
Maybe LeBron, maybe Kobe for a year or two, maybe Kevin Durant. And that's it.
I guess I don't see that as a high probability.
No, absolutely not.
But I think if Thibodeau can get them all to play fantastic team defense, the way the Celtics did,
then they're still in great shape.
Then I don't think they're just in great shape. I think they're in contention to make the finals.
The NBA finals or the conference finals?
I think they have a shot. I'm not saying they're likely to win to get to the final, but I think they have a shot.
As much as I'm rooting against the Heat all season,
yeah,
I recognize that they're the prohibitive favorite.
No,
it's going to take injuries or some sort of weird chemistry thing or a really, really bad series to keep them out of the NBA championship.
But I think the chemistry thing is still a very open question, right? Like, we haven't seen Dwayne and LeBron play yet. We don't know what their chemistry is going to be like.
True.
Right? I mean, so far in the preseason game, LeBron's been when he's been playing, he just dominates the ball like he did in Cleveland. Like, how are they going to work? If they can't get that chemistry ironed out, or if it's an issue, or if it becomes an issue later on, I don't see why the Bulls wouldn't have an outside shot at actually getting to the finals.
Yeah, if chemistry becomes an issue with them, they have injuries, or the Bulls have a great series, or somebody else has a great series and bumps them, then yeah, the Bulls can make the finals. I still don't think they have as good a chance as Orlando or even as the Celtics. I think they have a better chance than Atlanta. I think they're a better team than Atlanta, assuming that the Bulls gel too, because we don't know what the Bulls chemistry is.
No, you're right. You're right. I'm just saying, like, the previous Bulls teams, you know, when they had Tyrese Thomas, Ben Gordon, they would make the playoffs, but you knew for sure they didn't have a shot.
Absolutely.
I'm saying now this Bulls team, fine, they're not likely to win. You know, everybody expects them to not make the finals. But if they did, I wouldn't be surprised either. You know, that's all I'm saying.
Sure, and I think last year, if Joakim's not injured, the Bulls aren't the 8th seed.
Right.
They're a higher seed, and they probably don't play as tough a team.
That's true. He missed a lot of games last year.
Yeah, and so
they traded away John Salmon.
Yeah, and Deng was injured for a good portion of the season.
Right.
So I mean, if the Bulls can stay healthy, they can gel. And there's some sort of improvement in their young players, and they have a positive effect from a coaching change. There's every reason to believe the Bulls can be in the second round, certainly, and have a shot at being in the conference finals.
Right.
And then once you're there, well, things can happen. You can get lucky. You know, the other team's down a little bit, you're up.
Yeah.
Who knows what happens?
I agree. So. Are you happy that the Bulls didn't trade for Carmelo Anthony?
Oh yeah, that would have been horrible. I mean, well, okay, let me take that back. If they could have pulled off like James Johnson for Carmelo Anthony, sure.
Right.
But if it's Joakim Noah that we got to give up,
that's
no. And really now, in retrospect, I'm glad we didn't even do it for Taj Gibson.
Yeah.
Because unless we're going to think that Ashik is going to be playing. At the center, moving Noah to 4, you're without a power forward.
Yeah.
I mean, Kurt Thomas can't hack it anymore.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, he'd be more valuable unless you'd have 2 small forwards in Deng and Carmelo Anthony, unless you traded Deng too.
Yeah, so I agree. That's what I was saying. I was arguing that too. Like, if the Bulls still had somebody like Brad Miller, like a serviceable backup, then maybe you take a shot at Carmelo.
Yeah, absolutely.
But since they have no one to really step up in that position, you kind of have to stick with Luol Deng, who's not that bad. Right?
No, I mean, I'm not going to say that Deng and Melo are in the same class.
Oh, no,
They're
right.
certainly not.
No, I agree, yeah.
But the drop-off between Deng and Melo is a lot more than the drop-off between Noah and Ashik.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no, I agree.